Before we get into today's episode, here's a quick note. The composite is built from a still unfolding case you've probably already heard of. Wang Shuiniu, the American I Love China influencer whose story has been storming across Chinese social media in the past 2 weeks. What follows is drawn from the pattern multiple women have described happening to them. This is the version from inside it. You're at a hop-up place he picked, the kind with a line out the door most weekends, except he walks straight past it, greets the host by name. He'd replied to your comment 2 days ago. 5 words, a joke about your profile picture, then a name, then this. His Chinese is good enough that you keep forgetting he isn't from here, slipping into local slang, teasing the waiter, ordering without looking at the menu. 2 tables over, someone's already filming him without asking. The bill comes. He doesn't reach for it, just checks his phone mid-sentence, like paying is someone else's job tonight. You pick it up, tell yourself he probably forgot his wallet. Everyone does that sometimes. Back at his place, he shows you the desk. Inkstone, a brush worn soft at the tip, a stack of paper covered edge to edge in careful characters. I practice every morning, he says. 5 a.m. And you believe him. Why wouldn't you? You end up in his bed that night, and it happens easily. Almost like it was inevitable. In the morning, he wakes you up. You start the day watching him check his phone twice before you're even dressed. Mentions immediately that he needs to head out in an hour to meet another date. You take the hint, gather your things. He walks you to the door, charming, right up until it closes, already reaching for his phone again, before you've even hit the stairs. You don't know it yet, but you got the lucky version of the story. Stay with us. Welcome back, I'm Liam. There's a formula running on Chinese social media, proven to drive up subscriber counts time and time again. Foreign face, fluent Mandarin, a selfie camera pointed at you saying the same 4 words on loop, 我爱中国, or I love China. There's a name for the persona itself, I love China. You've seen it before, even if you didn't have a name for it. Tai Chi in a park at sunrise, calligraphy practice, videos of people declaring how much the culture means to them. Here's what nobody running it says out loud. For a foreigner trying to build something online here, this isn't really a choice. It's closer to survival code. And the uncomfortable part is, you genuinely can't always tell it apart from the real thing. Someone can start out loving the place for real and still end up performing it, because performing it is what gets rewarded. Chase the numbers long enough, and eventually, they can't tell the difference themselves. There's a name for that part too, 财富密码, literally, the wealth code. It's slang for whatever specific gimmick reliably converts into followers and followers convert into money. Every creator is quietly hunting for theirs, and once you find it, you run it over and over, because why wouldn't you? Here's a part that doesn't translate if you're watching from outside the China metaverse. Nobody thinks twice when someone says they love America. That's not what drives the traffic. Say I love China instead, and it starts sounding like a choice, someone picking this place over everywhere else they could have picked. For a long stretch, this was the culture the rest of the world treated as the one still catching up. So when someone who could be filming this from anywhere else on Earth picks here instead, and says so loudly, on camera, it doesn't read as just a compliment. It reads as the scoreboard finally moving. Proof that admiration can run in this direction, not just out toward the west. That instinct isn't embarrassing. It's the same thing that happens whenever an underdog gets picked. It just also happens to be exploitable. Most people running this play are harmless. A few genuinely love the place. But every so often, someone works out that the same credibility that gets you followers also get you into people's homes. That's this week's story. He noticed a stereotype that a foreigner reads as more open, less bound by the rules a local guy would have to follow, and worked out that the women who buy into that are easier to get to yes. The love of China act was never about affection. It got him to the front of the line. We're not giving him a nickname today. He's already got one, and it's not ours to hand out. Let's get back to the story. Weeks later, his face turns up in someone else's feed. One of those random encounter street interview videos. The kind where a creator supposedly just bumps into a stranger and films their whole life story on the spot. Except, you recognize the script before he even finishes the first line. The calligraphy. I'm a Fudan graduate. One of a small handful of schools where only the country's top students even get considered. And he says it like it costs him nothing. The 5 a.m. wake-up call. Word for word, like it's rehearsed. Because it is. Curiosity gets the better of you. You click through to his actual page. His comments have turned into something like a queue. Girl after girl, same request, on repeat. Give me an English name. He works through them one by one, methodical, generous, flirtatious in a way that reads differently depending on how it landed on you personally. You tell yourself you're just checking. Curiosity, not appetite. You're not one of the girls in that queue anymore. You already had your turn. You keep scrolling, not looking for anything in particular. And there it is, buried under a string of heart emojis and people asking for English names. There's still a child between us, one comment reads. Did he also persuade you to get an abortion? Another asks. Yes, twice. Your stomach drops. Not for you, for whoever typed that and hit send. Then it hits you sideways. That could have been you. It very nearly was. You don't feel like the exception here. You feel like someone who got away with something you didn't even know you were playing. You keep scrolling. There's more than one thread like this. More than two. Somewhere around the fifth or sixth, a pattern starts repeating so exactly it stops feeling like coincidence and starts feeling like a method. The calligraphy, the bill he never reaches for, the morning he's already got somewhere else to be. One of them says it outright. There was no one else coming. He just says that every time to get you out the door faster. You close the app. You don't sleep much that night. And by now, it isn't really about him anymore. Let's get right to the comments. The reactions come in waves, and they don't all point to the same direction. One says, Fudan graduate meant a few months in a language class. He didn't just fake a resume, he faked an entire personality. Worth knowing why that particular lie landed so hard. Fudan is one of the very small handful of schools in China where only the very top students get anywhere near the gate. Claiming that name wasn't padding a resume. It was borrowing a kind of trust most people spend years earning. Possibly hundreds of women, no protection. One reaction shows up over and over, louder than the rest. 崇洋媚外, foreign worship, the accusation that any woman who fell for this walked in wanting exactly this. Height, the passport, the fantasy of a way out. Good genes, a possible marriage, maybe even a way to move abroad. It's foreign worship, plain and simple. For some of these women, dating a foreigner is the whole point. It's not really about him. Chinese men should take this personally. Some of these women would rather deal with a stranger who lied to them for weeks than date someone from home. 3 different accusations, all aim at the women instead of him, chasing a passport, chasing status, or just not wanting one of their own. None of them actually explain why the warning signs got ignored until it was too late. People can't even agree on whether he's actually good looking. He looks pretty average, honestly. Shocked he pulled all this off. Someone else pushes back. He's decent enough. Otherwise, this many girls wouldn't be into him. Really? Where I'm from, he'd just be average. And that reply is tagged from the US. Here's a joke about the World Cup that's been going around. It's slang. And it needs a little translation to land. It's the World Cup. Chinese men aren't even allowed to compete. It's actually 2 jokes stacked on top of each other. China's national football team hasn't come close to qualifying in decades. We don't get a seat at the table. Is already a running punchline about the sport. Somebody just borrowed the joke and pointed it at dating instead. Same result, different games. Bitter, but at least it's aimed at the right target for once. The guys losing, not the women choosing. Further down, the comments start to split on something more specific. Not whether the attraction was real, but whether what happened next actually counts as him lying. It's mutual. Don't call it deception when the girl doesn't even realize it's just a hookup. Dismissive, top to bottom. Someone pushes back. If both sides just wanted a hookup, that's fine. But if the woman agreed to sleep with him for marriage, or a real relationship, this guy is genuinely immoral. Makes sense in theory. Both people agreeing on what this actually is before anyone ends up in bed. The problem is only one of them was ever in a position to be honest about it. The reply underneath isn't convinced. Impossible. Nobody is stupid enough to think you can decide on a long-term relationship, let alone marriage within 24 hours. Maybe. Or maybe that's exactly the kind of thing that feels decided at 2 a.m., right after someone's shown you their handwriting. Then, a colder read than either one. Not all white guys are like this. He's over 190 cm. Decent looking, Fudan on paper. Honestly, some of these women probably just wanted his genes for a kid. His looks and build speak for themselves. That one says a lot more about how this person sees dating than it does about anyone actually involved. Three different women could have walked out of that apartment with three completely different accounts of what just happened to them, and all three might be telling the truth. Here's the thing worth sitting with. Whether he actually loves it, the culture, the language, the calligraphy, isn't really the point. The persona was never built to be sincere. It was built to do a job, pull women in, and grow a following doing it. Every piece of it, the language, the calligraphy, giving out free English names, is calibrated for that, not for him. This isn't about being fair to him, or asking whether any of it started with good intentions. It stopped mattering the moment it started paying off. More followers, free meals, and possibly hundreds of women, all at the cost of nothing. And here's the part that's harder to sit with. Nothing that happened in this case breaks any laws. No one held a door shut. No one was drugged, or followed, or forced. Every version of this story, hers, the next one's, the one before that, involves two adults who chose to be there. That's exactly what makes it so easy for him to walk away from. And exactly why he did nothing wrong and he did something genuinely awful can both be true sentences about the same man. What happens to him next? Nobody actually knows. What we do know is he's been banned off social media. Beyond that, where he's gone, where a court date is even waiting for him somewhere, none of us can say for certain. But something did happen, and it's less of a reckoning than you'd expect. Online, this has mostly turned into a joke. People are stitching together parody posts, mock free English name offers, taking the piss out of him for the fun of it, not out of outrage. Meanwhile, the women who actually lived through it have mostly gone quiet. The joke is still running, they're just not the ones telling it anymore. That's not justice, it's just what's left once the law has nothing to say about it. I'm not going to tell you what to think of him. You've already got a comment section worth of opinions to weigh against your own. I'll leave you with this instead. The next time someone tells you exactly what you want to hear, in exactly the words you didn't know you needed, it's worth asking who taught them which words those were. That's the story. I'll see you next week.